He nodded, saying that he heard that things were quite busy lately. He felt that if they had started to act, there might be another attack. Was it this investigation? What was it compared to that? The lawyer admitted it and said that he knew how evil and cunning they were. How much did he know? He knew that Korea was a place where even innocent people could be framed for something. He smiled at the lawyer and asked him to be careful. He said that he had done his best, but he lacked power. At least until now, they were still safe, but he asked for a little more time, because they were talking about Liu and Huang. The politicians would also start to act. He advised him to be very careful. He smiled and said that maybe he should reconsider his decision. He asked him if he had a plan in mind. Why? He smiled happily and said that he just intended to do what he thought was right. At this time, at Ro's company, they were very annoyed. The employees were apologizing to the director for not being able to find a reason to deal with Jang Tae-san. They said that they would try again soon. The director quickly interrupted him, saying that he had to go. He had something to do. So he had to hang up first. He quickly put down the phone. He was annoyed with his staff, who had no sense of competition. He felt that there was no one useful anymore. Everything was going well. His daughter had successfully landed in France and maybe she was getting used to everything. Now, he only had Yang Tae-san to deal with. He was director Sun Jae-gu. Suddenly, the phone rang again. The other end of the line announced that there was a guest who wanted to see him. He was a bit surprised because it was late, and he did not know who was on the other end. They informed him that it was CEO Young of LOR Investment. He was very shocked. He asked the other end of the line if it was really Jang Tae-san. At that time, it was midnight, and he walked into the room with a happy face and greeted him. He felt annoyed because he did not like his attitude at all. He quickly invited him to sit down and talk. He asked why he came to see him at this time. He said that he just wanted to meet his senior and also wanted to discuss business matters. He did not think that he was his senior and felt that he was exactly what people said. He cheerfully asked him if he was not also a graduate of the Law School of Korea. Or was it not that the school, hometown, and profession were the ideal places to start a new relationship? He still did not want to be his senior and asked him his name. He was embarrassed by his very distant words. He introduced himself as the CEO of LOR Investment Group Jang Tae-san. Recently, he heard that he was interested in his company, so he came here to see him. He said that he did not know what he was talking about. He said not to act so politely, but he was also one of his juniors. Without looking at him, he said that let this old man tell him one thing, what was the real reason he came here. Suddenly, he stood up and said, "Please help him with something." He startled him, and he smiled wickedly. He said that Anna would soon collapse because his investors were preparing to cook them. He repeated once more that his investors were ready to overthrow the Anna company. He was very surprised to hear what he had just said. He said that as he had seen, he was very close to the Wall Street investor Robert. He was amazed to hear him mention his name. He continued, Robert was also very close to the U.S. politicians. He began to feel afraid. He suddenly asked him why Robert targeted Anna. He smiled, and said that he just happened to hear this. It seemed that he targeted Anna because of the political funds, repeating what had happened to Saigon before. He was a bit surprised when he talked about political funds and asked if Robert really told him that. He smiled, and said it was not the reason why he sent someone to his office because of that information. He was stunned when he hit the black heart, but quickly regained his composure and said he was very funny. At that time, he suddenly wanted to tell him straight the reason why he visited him so late. He looked at him and listened. He said that there would be a big game soon and he asked him if he wanted to join him. He was amazed by what he said and couldn't react. At this time, at a house in Korea, someone was saying that he was not satisfied with the election results. If it weren't for the incident a few minutes ago, they would have had 10 more seats. But he had fulfilled his duty as the regional director. The old man with squinty eyes suddenly looked at the person sitting in front of him and said, "It's all thanks to this person." Director Sun said that it was all thanks to Chairman Park Jong-hyung. An old man with white hair said that it was all thanks to the Seven Stars Association. The old man with white hair suddenly asked Director Sun if he had ever heard of him taking over Anna. Director Sun said that he had also been approved by the chairman of the Seven Stars Association, and he concluded that taking over Anna would do more harm than good. The old man with white hair said that it was a pity that Anna made a lot of money but couldn't handle it. But Director Sun said that he would come up with another better option. What was it? He said that he had a senior at Korea University, who was a 20-year-old investment genius, and he had a network worth several trillion. Everyone was surprised by a 20-year-old kid who had several trillion in his hands. Director Sun gave a document with information about Jang Tae-san to the two people in front of him. They were shocked to see the information and wondered how such a genius could exist. Director Sun said that he was very good, but there was one problem: he wanted to have the Anna Group. He was currently cooperating with Wall Street investor Robert. He said that he would swallow Anna whole. He suddenly opened his eyes wide and asked if Director Sun meant the investment devil. Director Sun quickly confirmed this. He said that Robert had a lot of connections, and people said that meeting him was harder than going to heaven. The old man with white hair doubted that Jang Tae-san could be so good. Director Sun confirmed this and said that in just a few years, his investment profits had exceeded several hundred billion. The old man with black hair said that if it was just it would be easy, but not the old man with white hair. He asked if they had to deal with Jang Tae-san, or why they didn't give it to someone better instead of him. The old man with white hair looked at Director Sun's expression and was sure that Director Sun had agreed with Jang Tae-san. Director Sun said that it was time to deal with Anna. The other directors had also agreed to this. Director Sun continued, saying that he also knew that Tae-san had a relationship with Chairman Jo of Yongjiang. He said that he was the illegitimate son of Chairman Yo's illegitimate daughter. Everyone was amazed that they finally found out. It turned out that Jang Tae-san wanted revenge. The old man with white hair asked Director Sun what he wanted. Director Sun said that there would be a big game soon, and he wanted him to stand on his side when something happened. If they agreed, he promised to multiply their investment by 10. They asked about the other risks. Director Sun said that he hadn't decided yet, but first he hoped that the two brothers would secretly help him a little. Because he was planning to invest 300 billion of his own money. At this time, at LOR Company, the person on the other end of the line said that the date of the shareholders' meeting had been set, but he didn't understand why the court was so urgent. Tae-san said that it was still lucky. The person on the other end of the line said that he heard that Leo Hang had withdrawn from Anna's legal team. The person on the other end of the line said that it would take at least a month to send all the invitations and determine the date of the shareholders' meeting. Tae-san happily agreed. Suddenly, he opened his phone. Then he pressed the person on the other end of the line and thanked him for his gift. The person on the other end of the line said that they should go for a drink someday. He said he would send the person on the other end of the line his bank account number. The person on the other end of the line quickly thanked him. He smiled and didn't understand why the other side thanked him, while he was about to stab a knife into his throat. At this time, suddenly the phone rang. The person on the other end of the line said that there was a guest who wanted to see him. He asked who the guest was. The person on the other end of the line said that Chairman Duan Dung thought they had arrived. He was embarrassed because he forgot about this. He quickly invited them in. A pair of pink high heels appeared in front of the office door. He was very surprised to look at the girl in front of him. She quickly greeted him. She introduced herself as Yohee. He was embarrassed and praised her for being really beautiful. She smiled and accepted his compliment. Until now, he realized that Director Duong Dung was the father of the girl in front of him. She also quickly confirmed to him that he was her father. He felt a bit astonished. If this girl said she was his granddaughter, he would believe it, but if she was his daughter, he was lucky. He quickly invited her to sit down and asked her if she wanted to drink coffee. He quickly contacted the team leader and asked her to bring up 2 cups of coffee. 2 cups of coffee were quickly brought to Yohei. She praised his employee for being both beautiful and capable. He smiled and said that he paid her a very high salary. She smiled and said that if she also wanted to receive such a salary, could she? Because after she returned to the country, she only had enough money for gas. He realized that this girl was quite open, smiled, and said that surely her father would let her live comfortably. She said he gave her a house, a car, and $1 million in her account. He felt that a young person like her had enough. She smiled and said that it wasn't enough, because she wanted to fulfill her father's dream. He felt that she had a skin as white as snow and could enchant others. If he wasn't careful, he would be deceived by her beauty, like other men who looked at her. He rated her level of danger as 99%. Suddenly he asked her, surely she also realized that her father's dream was very great, right? She looked at him and asked if he wanted to give her a chance. He said he would invest in her if she had the ability. She quickly said that she graduated from the business department of Green Sun University. She also completed the master's and doctoral programs there. Meanwhile, she was only 25 years old. He was very surprised to know that she was so young. She said that she graduated a few years early. This made him feel that she was very impressive. But she said that if compared to him, her achievements were nothing. Suddenly she told him that her father's standards were very high and asked him if he wanted to know what he said to her. She continued, he said that she could only manage well in one field. She shouldn't dream of managing a whole group, but should focus on one field only. He felt that like father, like daughter, the level of danger of this girl was increased to 99.5%. Suddenly the phone rang and announced that Manager Ha had arrived. He quickly invited him in. She asked him if she had been accepted for this job. He smiled and said that she had to practice first. This made her a little surprised. She did not believe that she had to be an intern with her level of skills, which made her very surprised. At this moment, Director Ha came in and asked him what he wanted to call him for. He quickly greeted him happily and invited him into the room. He asked Director Ha if he knew the person in front of him, which made him confused. He looked at her and thought for a bit. She also looked at him, as if she recognized him, but he quickly bowed to her and said that he was honored to meet her for the first time. He quickly introduced Director Ha as the manager of Saigon and, looking at her, he wanted to introduce her quickly, interrupting her introduction of herself as Yohei. She said that she had heard her father talk a lot about him, Director Ha Won Go. At this time, he seemed to recognize her father. Seeing that he seemed to recognize, she quickly introduced her father as Duong Dung, which made him very astonished. She said that although she had lived in the US for a long time, she was confident that she could help him. He felt a little scared of this girl. She continued, she had plans to join the management board. She believed that the leader position would suit her. Tae-san was a little surprised by this girl who had decided her position already. Director Han said that he would agree, but there was one condition. He said that their plan was to buy a car manufacturing company. Their current target was Samium Auto of Korea. She knew this company and asked them if they wanted to target the domestic market. He quickly denied and said that their goal was to export to foreign markets. She said that it was an impossible choice if they aimed at that company. Tae-san was amazed at her. Director Ha asked why she said that. She said first that the market was too small, and the Shanghai car manufacturer in China had already gone ahead. If they still followed the old way without investing in new technology, they would not last long. The two were very shocked by her proposal. She said more, the financial crisis in the US was imminent. In that case, samium would no longer have any value. Therefore, they needed a new solution. Tae-san looked at her with a thoughtful expression. Director Ha asked her what the solution was. This was the requirement for her job position. She said that if it was her, she would buy a Volvo. The two were very surprised by her bold intention. A hand was extended in front of her. Tae-san said that welcome her to their team. Team leader Yohei was at the stadium of the school. The team leader invited everyone to eat, because he had just received his salary. Everyone happily agreed. The Korean hot pot was delicious, steaming. Everyone enjoyed eating. Today's meal was spicy beef soup from the Korean university. Right now, after finishing eating, everyone quickly left the cafeteria. The team leader asked if the food was suitable for Tae-san. He happily said that eating for free was always delicious. The team leader quickly invited them to another pot of coffee. Suddenly, he stared at everyone. Tae-san asked him if he had something to say to everyone. He hesitated and said that he had something to ask for their help. Everyone quickly agreed and wanted him to start. He said that the festival was about to take place next week. Did they know? Because the professors were very happy in the previous meeting, so they had high expectations for this festival. Suddenly, he asked if this matter was related to the finance department. The team leader quickly praised him for being very sharp. He smiled and said that he knew it himself, and he would agree to help the team leader prepare for this time. At this time, at the Young Jeong company, the director was looking at the angry man in front of him who called Yang Tae-san's name with a very angry face. He slammed the table angrily and said that until the end, it was all Yang Tae-san's trick. He hated to say why. Everything that happened to him now was because of Yang Tae-san. Director Jo said that it was true as presented in the report. He had several conflicts with the young master Young Song. Because the young master's ex-girlfriend who met at the university, Lee Ji-eun, used to be Jang Tae-san's lover. There was also a time at the beach, when they disagreed on the issue of sexual harassment. In addition, Jang Tae-san had a close friend who was an idol in a girl group named Ford, who also had a problem with Young Seon. So, now Young Seon became crazy. It could also be explained. Not only that, Tae-san also had a relationship with the Congressman Ozuhyu in Yangju. He was startled when he reported on Ozuhyu. Director Jo continued, the location of the Anna apartment building under construction in Yangju was related to the orphanage that Yang Tae-san had sponsored. He shouted at the director, was it also Tae-san who released Ozuhyu's video? The director hesitated and also thought so. He read the report angrily. He said that the attacks that the group was facing were also reported by Director Jo as being caused by the LOR investment company rejecting the foreign investor. He heard that the building that Jang Tae-san had just moved into had a group of people from Jeon who were preparing to buy Anna. Finally, he also realized that he had fallen into a trap, because he was arrogant, thinking that he was still young. He angrily shouted who the hell this guy was. Director Jo said that there was a rumor that Tae-san was very good at investing and heard that he had made a huge profit from the exchange rate. He gritted his teeth and said that maybe the office was also Yang Tae-san's hand. Director Jo said that the possibility was very high. Suddenly, he laughed in a terrifying way. He said that he didn't know anything, let him set traps in all directions. But he still jumped in stupidly, but that didn't scare him. He felt that living in the world, sometimes there had to be some risks like this. Director Jo was scared by his smile, because every time he saw that creepy smile, someone would disappear. He walked forward, asking him if it was the shareholders' meeting in a week, right? He felt that this time the chairman's anger was different from the past. This time he might make his target lose his head. At this time, the festival was taking place at the Korean school. Everyone was happy with the dishes on display at the school. This girl was the representative of the business department. She told everyone to do well, don't make mistakes because the professor would also come. Suddenly she asked everyone, what was the concept of the law department this year? The guy in the blue shirt said that maybe they would sell grilled pork like the previous years. They started to talk about that kind of barbecue, which was bad and not delicious. For a long time, no one bought anything at the law department stall. Suddenly, at this time everyone was standing focused on one side. The representative of the business department was very surprised to look at the stage of the law department, which was too large. Someone said that maybe they communicated with the stalls of other departments. Suddenly, she had a feeling of not doing well when the trucks quickly followed each other and ran towards the hall of the law department. An engineer quickly called everyone to install the high-end chairs that were brought here, and a lot of gas tanks were also brought. The plates and bowls looked like in a hotel. Everyone was amazed to see those people starting to set up. Her intuition was increasing day by day. Suddenly, someone said, "Leave quickly when you're done." It made the three people turn around and look behind. Looking at the exterior right in front of them, it seemed like it was not a normal charger anymore. They felt like this, then they could open a restaurant as well. People were buzzing about it, more amazed when they found out that they also invited the chefs. People were shocked to see that this was clearly cheating, because this was only a part of the student festival. People from different departments looked at the law department, wondering how much money those things could cost. People quickly discussed how to surpass the law department. At this time, a pair of legs quickly walked to the leader, happy to see that everything was ready. A person stepped out and said, "This is a violation of the law." The leader did not understand, and looked at him. He said, "The school festival must operate according to the standards of the students. Receiving sponsorship like this breaks the balance." The leader said, "The seniors in the department also sponsored, there's nothing wrong." He was happy that the law department was so magnificent this year. The representative of the business department asked who sponsored those things. Suddenly, she saw in front of her, a pair of sneakers walked up and asked if everyone came too early. Seeing everyone staring at him like that, Tae-san felt very confused. She almost went crazy. Deep always messed up because of him. A taxi was parked at the airport. The taxi driver asked the person behind where he wanted to go, but he kept looking and did not see an answer, making him surprised. Looking in the mirror, he saw a foreigner with blonde hair. He said he wanted to go to a plebeian. The taxi rushed on the street. At this time, at the stadium of the law school, delicious dishes were being cooked on the pan. Tae-san cooked these dishes himself, making everyone amazed. Everyone felt that the dishes he cooked were very delicious. It was the first time they ate such dishes. He could even cook Chinese food like ham. At this time, there was a pair of eyes staring at him while he was cooking. A group of people came and told him that they had arrived. They felt that he was very handsome, even cooking was very attractive. He smiled and looked at them, saying that today they had to support his sales. Sol was very surprised to find out that those people were from the music department. Suddenly, two people came to ask him, and continued to cause trouble. They were the professors who met him during the admission interview. He said that the most interesting thing in this life was to follow him. Another person said that he had to skip school to go to cooking school. He greeted everyone very warmly. Everyone happily discussed the meal today. Suddenly, a person came and greeted him, Director John. He was surprised to find out that it was a lawyer, and two employees of his company also came. They were amazed to see that he could cook. At that moment, everyone was scared, looking at the people who had just arrived. He looked at them with an embarrassed and angry expression, saying that this was a school and they should not call him like that. Everyone quickly agreed and said that they just came here to drink a cup of wine and then leave. At this time, the professors quickly thanked the beautiful girls and invited them to sit at the same table. Suddenly, he called the team leader and wanted him to greet the person next to him first, making him startled. He introduced the lawyer from the SAMU law office, making him panic. Everyone looked at the lawyer with disbelief. He quickly greeted everyone and introduced himself as John Tae, class of 77. They quickly bowed very low and said that they were honored to meet him. Suddenly, at this time, another pair of legs came and greeted the lawyer. Looking over there, he knew that another sponsor had arrived. Director's son came and greeted the lawyer cheerfully. The lawyer recognized him as the director of the enemy. At this time, the law school students were astonished. Someone stood up and asked if they did not see him, or what. The lawyer and director's son looked at him and greeted this senior happily. Fireworks shot up into the sky beautifully in the cheerful laughter and talk of the people here. The law school students were frozen again when they found out that the person who came was Seo Yang. Director's son greeted Tae-san. He also greeted him happily and thanked him for coming here for him. Everyone quickly greeted each other, saying that it had been a long time since they returned to school. The people with status were standing in front of the law student hall. The team leader was extremely surprised by this situation. This was an unbelievable scene, a university hall day where all the celebrities in the law field gathered together in full. Moreover, it revolved around Tae-san. At this time, in the evening at Tae-san's apartment, the elevator button to the upper floor was being pressed. He was tired, leaning on the elevator. He had drunk so much alcohol that he was now drunk. Just now, he had drunk with the people who came here, because he drank happily. Then, he continued to drink with his girls, and then drank with his friends in the same field. Here, he returned with a tired face. He entered the password and opened the door slowly. He stepped into the dark room. It seemed that he felt a strange indifferent breath at a very close distance. Since this was a house he lived alone, the frequency was also adjusted to suit him. Suddenly, a bullet flew through his body, blood splattered on his face. The sound of gunfire in front of his eyes. The bullet quickly passed over his shoulder and flew towards the glass door. He dodged the attack as fast as possible. He fell flat on the floor, dodging the bullets. He was wounded in many places, making him feel pain. But he saw nothing in front of his eyes. He didn't know how to deal with the situation. He tried to think of the fastest way, but at this moment, he suddenly thought of that thing, blue and red veins popping up all over his skin. They were intertwined. He decided to try to end it. In a section, he grabbed a bottle. He guessed that the person was about 7 m away from him. The time of attack and defense was applied comprehensively. At this moment, the bullet broke the bottle in his hand. Looking in the direction of the bottle, he finally found the shooter. He panicked and looked at him. He quickly clenched his fist, wanting to give him a strong punch. He shouted, "Die!" This punch made his shoulder bloody and messy. He screamed in pain and quickly collapsed, blood splattered all over the house. Looking at him, he smiled a scary smile. He knelt on the floor under his feet, all blood. Finally, he also fell down and lay in a pool of blood. But the problem was that tomorrow, he still had to attend the shareholders' meeting. Now, he couldn't do anything and didn't know how to solve it. Currently, at an important meeting in the office, Lawyer Joe invites everyone to sit down. He is about to make a speech. But until now, the meeting has taken place, and he has not shown up. So, he sends a message to Tae-san to ask where he is and why he hasn't arrived. He suspects that there seems to be some problem with Tae-san. MC speaks. According to the decision of the Central Seoul Court, a joint stock company announced the opening of the extraordinary meeting of shareholders in 2008. The meeting was held at the request of dissatisfied shareholders about the loose management and loss of confidence in the board of directors and the director of the company. Then, Lawyer Joe of SAMU Law Office spoke. As everyone knows, the problems of Anna stem from the unreasonable merger and acquisition process with the scale. Currently, Anna Group is facing a difficult economic situation, high debt and sharp decline in sales. Not only that, Chairman Si-hoon and his family, the actual owners of Anna, often shock the media, affecting the image of the company. After failing to buy in Seoul, the capital and working capital of the company have decreased. These issues, as presented in the document, are putting the group in a difficult situation. If the situation continues to decline as it is now, not only the capital circulation room but also the unreasonable guarantees and debts of the parent company and subsidiaries will become unmanageable, like the collapse of the entire system. At this time, the employees below are curious and doubtful about the content he is saying. Some people think that he has exaggerated, and there are some negative opinions from the audience on the floor. Someone commented that foreigners are facing a difficult situation and this view is like selling the country. Right after that, Lawyer Joe asked everyone to keep quiet and warned that if anyone caused trouble, they would be invited out of the hall for the meeting to take place smoothly. He explained that this was the reason why foreign investors were feeling anxious about the current situation of Anna. Then, there were opinions from the audience that he spoke too strongly and heavily. But he, as the representative with the power of attorney of the shareholders holding 49.42%, made a request for Chairman Si-hoon and the executive directors to resign. The listeners were surprised to know that he held 49.42% of the shares, and there was a question about how they bought the shares so quickly. After he finished his speech, Chairman of the Board of Directors Si-hoon stood up and spoke. At this time, Lawyer Joe began to feel worried and curious about the developments that were happening, especially with the situation of Tae-san. He stood up to say that he was the chairman of the board of directors of Anna Company and was considering holding 49.42% of the shares. Director Si-hoon started by apologizing to everyone and the shareholders for having to meet in such a difficult situation. Director Si-hoon noted that the major shareholder, Star Tae-san, was not present because he had died the night before. The chairman continued to talk about family responsibility and commitment to protect the business, emphasizing that the decision on the acquisition had not been made yet. He shared about the positive support from the government regarding capital circulation, and if he overcame this crisis, shareholders could expect significant profits. Finally, the chairman advised everyone to make a wise decision and not rely too much on his trust. He also made it clear that he did not want the business to fall into foreign hands again and called for people to make smart decisions to protect the common interests. This time, the chairman had reached an agreement with the subordinates, so they proceeded to vote. According to the usual procedure of the shareholders, there was a hand raised to speak. "I have an opinion," the lawyer said. "Do we really need such a lengthy decision? Can we decide right now? He just needs to hold more shares in his hand. As long as the chairman agrees, I will open the file right away." The chairman calmly agreed and said that holding shares was a trivial matter. The shareholders also felt bored and agreed with the decision. Then, the lawyers from both sides stepped forward to announce the documents. On the documents, it showed that the chairman at Si-hoon was holding 49.45% of the shares, more than planned. Suspicion spread, and people asked questions about the number of shares the chairman was holding. 49.45%? Why is that? A shareholder doubted. The chairman explained, if that is the case, then there is only one proxy left undecided. The choice of the shareholder will determine the victory or defeat. At this point, the chairman ended his speech and handed the phone to the lawyer representing Dongwon. "Yes, how did our Dongwon company decide?" someone asked. Right at this moment, the door opened and someone walked in. When he entered, Tae-san looked tired. "I'm sorry for being late. I am Tae-san, the director of LOR Company at this time. Unexpectedly, he had a strange incident last night." Tae-san stared at him, asking him why he was surprised as if he saw a ghost. He even asked why Tae-san did not die. The scene went back to when Tae-san faced the god. His first life was miserable, but his second life was like winning the lottery. It could not end like that. A god appeared and asked if Tae-san wanted to have healing power. Hearing the voice, it seemed like there was an intention behind it. If it was a god, then it must be so. That god could come to find Tae-san, and Tae-san had a chance to sign a contract with him. If that god had healing power, then maybe he was a medicine god, and he must have some purpose. Since Tae-san did not have much time to talk anymore, a white figure appeared and Tae-san agreed. Tae-san would sign a contract with him right now. The system showed a message that Tae-san had summoned a mid-level evil god, making Tae-san surprised and worried about his progress. The god said that good gods always think carefully before acting with you, while evil gods are always ready to welcome you. The evil god appeared and asked why you were so surprised. Sehun doubted right now that he was seeing a ghost. In his hand, Tae-san held an envelope and gave it to Lawyer Joe. Lawyer Joe was asked to receive this asset and the documents of LOR. Everyone was surprised and asked questions about Anna's assets. Tae-san explained that it was 1.1% of Anna's shares. Everyone was surprised and asked why it was Anna's. Tae-san explained that it was 1.1% of the shares, plus about 49.2%, accounting for more than half of the group. Whether they checked the shares of Dong Dong Long or not, they still beat this chairman. Tae-san stared at him and made the final verdict. With 50.52% of the total value of the shares, the accusation against Anna's director was passed. Sehun's director was angry and declared that he did not accept this. Tae-san called him a bastard and a jerk. He rushed towards Tae-san. Standing in front of him were two guards. Two bodyguards grabbed his arms. Do these guys know who I am? How can these bastards fly and want to be chairman? I am the chairman of Anna Group. Then, the guard began to drag him out of the crowd. Tae-san wanted to say that from now on, we will get rid of Sehun and his faction. Anyone who does not want to leave will be sued. Surely they are the deceivers. Anna is Tae-san's, Tae-san will do everything like that. This is a historic moment for the group. Sehun was dragged away, his eyes watery, and the person standing in front of everyone was the lawyer. I propose that we nominate a new lawyer and a new chairman. Mr. Ha, please come out. Ha Jiang, the vice president of D1 Company, was promoted for his excellent management skills. Everyone agreed to choose him as the new chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Chairman Ha has something to say. Tae-san was impressed and thanked him for the compliment. But right then, a new enemy appeared. It was Tae-san's uncle. The two faced each other. The official target of the new performance officially appeared. The system announced that Tae-san had accumulated a lot of bad karma, and this was a special reward for Tae-san. Many gods like bad karma points. At the chairman's office, everyone was amazed. The chairman's room, how wonderful! Tae-san said, impressed to the point of surprise. His house was so rich that it ranked 10th in the country, which was too high compared to everyone else. Everything smelled of money. The chairman, perhaps too excited, could not pack his belongings. He was about to go crazy. He couldn't even get his valuable golf toy, someone commented. Rumor has it that he is a veteran golfer. Back to the Chinese god. Did he ask you if you wanted healing power? Of course, but it's not free. You have to do a lot more work. Serve politely. They are the noble gods who will become your regular customers. Looking back, Hua Tuo saw many gods treating and healing patients. Tae-san became a great assistant for Hua Tuo. But how did Hua Tuo become an evil god of the same level as a demon? What was the reason? Hua Tuo was considered a genius in his lifetime. Appearing like that, the divine doctor treated countless people for free. If a person like this was not called to heaven, then who else would want to do good deeds? Why did the goddesses dominate this world? At this time, Hua Tuo explained that we had come here by ourselves. In the world of the good gods, everything was peaceful and these gods always controlled themselves, without wars and injuries. But here, things were different. Every day there were battles. Important missions that the good gods had to do in 100 years here were equal to what they did in one day in their world. But there was too much work here. So we needed more helpers. Come here and work more, think a little about this. So, the newcomers here, whether they were gods or humans, acted according to their needs. Turning back to talk to the lawyer, he asked if he was okay. He heard that he had been shot by an assassin, but the assassin was subdued and handed over to Captain Han. The lawyer said, the central government was quietly resolving this issue, and temporarily sealed all the documents at his request. Tae-san told Director Ha he had done his best. The director quickly rose from director to general director. When the lawyer also gave his opinion that he had a part in it, Director Ha just silently thanked both of them. Surely everyone has guessed that, before Chairman Si-hoon used the company's capital wrongly to win in the shareholders' meeting, we need to focus on this issue to defeat him without encountering unwanted consequences. The pressure from the political sphere is very high, and I can hide everything in Jiang country, but the amount of money that Chairman Si-hoon used is not small. Especially, he has a close connection with the government, so there are many troublesome issues, including lawsuits. Tae-san just smiled and said that there was no need to worry, because he had his own measures. At this time, at the private house of Chairman Si-hoon, Si-hoon promised to destroy everyone involved. If one assassin was not enough, he would send more, if not, he would send even more. Si-hoon declared that he would not die alone, but would drag along all these dark people. Chairman Si-hoon's phone was called, and people heard him say that everyone needed to worry because from now on he would temporarily retire to a rest home for a while. The minister also expressed concern and warned that from today, he would be banned from leaving the country. Surely he had to find a quiet place to rest for a few years. What did he say? Those people wanted to imprison me, huh? Then Si-hoon got angry, called the name of this bastard and asked who had sponsored him to climb up there. But now, he was playing the bastard game. Did he think I would not die alone, right? Absolutely not. The other end of the line said, he was saying that he had threatened the minister. I'm just a minister, nothing more. I have found and burned those things already, so this lunatic just stay calm. If you don't want to see your wife and children turn their backs and laugh, just lie down. He fell down and people quickly called the doctor. According to the media, former chairman of Anna Group Mr. Si-hoon was lying unconscious at home and was taken to the emergency hospital. There were 20 people, including the current leaders and his family, who were involved in helping in this scandal and were all being investigated by the prosecutor. According to the person involved, the amount of corruption of Mr. Si-hoon amounted to thousands of billions. 2 months after Anna's company went bankrupt, a meeting took place at the office of Director Tae-san. Good morning, Chairman. No, now it's time to call him Chairman. He turned back to greet manager Jo-hee, who had gone through ups and downs from the muddy countryside to rise to the Korean and global market. Let's start together, the second meeting of our lives, open the second chapter of our lives.